All right, welcome back. And joining us now, the captain of the Sheriff's Department of Lafourche Parish, Brendan Mathern. Captain, welcome to the program. Good to have you on board.
Thanks for having us, Martin. We're happy to be here.
Yeah. Let's talk about, I know y'all did a fantastic job with the bike giveaways and getting ready for Christmas and less fortunate people that really went through Hurricane Ida. But another thing that's facing us in the area, and I know we're going to have the police chief for Thibodeau on, the state police leader is going to be on with us during the week. And I know y'all are combating DWIs in Lafourche Parish quite a bit. It seems like the escalation in numbers has everybody guessing. But what are some of the things going into the new year that people need to be aware of?
Well, Martin, you make a good point as far as impaired driving goes, and we've seen it kind of change over the years. I think when I was a child and even back when you were growing up, there was, it was certainly illegal, but there was less of a stigma associated with it. It was sort of the thing, people just did, maybe a bad decision. But thankfully, over time, more and more as a society, even as a Cajun culture, we've come to recognize the incredible dangers involved with drinking and driving, and that it's become more and more taboo over time. Thankfully, I say that because it's just one of these things that is just a selfish decision, as Sheriff Weber would say. You're not taking into account anyone except yourself. When you decide to go out and have a drink and become impaired and then try to drive afterward, all you're doing is saving yourself from any inconvenience of having to find a ride or find some type of ride sharing service or a cab or something of that nature. You're just trying to get from point A to point B in as little inconvenience as possible. And in doing so, you're putting not only your life at risk, but perhaps just as, if not more importantly, the lives of others. And as you mentioned, Martin, we've had a number of fatal crashes in our area, especially over the month of December and going back into November. And several of them have been, involving alcohol. And if you survive, if you make that decision to drink and drive, if you survive the crash, you're then facing serious charges, not only DWI, but potentially homicide charges if you kill others. But, we've seen some tragic stories already involving very young people getting killed, really because it amounts to someone making that selfish decision and a horrible decision to drink and drive.
Captain, you mentioned the word inconvenience. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I was trying to make some sense out of all these stories we've been doing on fatalities that involved alcohol. And we've all been in situations before. Anybody watching, we'd all be lying to ourselves if we said we have not been in that situation before where a friend is drinking too much, and either we don't want to be inconvenienced or we don't want to go through the awkward thing to pull the keys away and to do that. But at this point, it's becoming a point in a time that we almost have to act, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it this way, and this is an extreme example, but if you saw a friend of yours shooting a loaded gun into a crowded room, especially if it was a friend of yours, you would probably, at the very least, you would say something. You would do something to intervene, at least ask them, what are you doing? And while it's an extreme example, I would argue, what's the difference? You're essentially allowing someone to get on the road. They've become a loaded weapon at that point. You know that they shouldn't be on the road. You know they've been drinking. You know that they are a danger to others. And you know that not only could they be endangering their own life, but the lives of others. Do you really want to read in the paper the next day after your friend made that horrible decision and you didn't do anything? It's bad enough, as you point out, it's a great example, Martin. It's bad enough that we can't convince people not to drink and drive because you'll be endangering other people, possibly killing others. But when it comes to someone intervening, how would you like it if, there was nothing you did? It's just your friend getting on the road and causing this accident, but it's something that you could have prevented. Can you live with yourself the next day? Much like that decision to drink and drive, if you are doing nothing and standing by and watching someone else do it, can you live with your decision of inaction?
We got about a minute and a half left on this segment, Captain. So maybe a little tip. We know people at South Louisiana, they going out, they eating the crawfish and the shrimp and everything else. They're going to drink a few beers, have a few toddies, but interrupt those drinks with water. I know y'all been preaching that a lot, but they can maybe change some habits.
Yeah, the bottom line is if you plan on leaving your house and having an alcoholic beverage, us, along with other law enforcement agencies, would certainly encourage you to designate a driver. That doesn't mean someone who is, kind of regulating themselves. That means someone who is not consuming alcoholic beverages. If you cannot find that person, then maybe look at something like a ride sharing service like Uber, or you know what, maybe just change your plans for the night. The bottom line is if you can't get home, if you don't have a way of getting home and allowing someone to drive that has not consumed even one alcoholic beverage, then you need to change your plans.
All right, there you have it, Captain Brennan Mathern. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back and talk with the captain about regular duties in Lafourche. I know it seems like just during this time of the year that DWI has become so much of the duty of law enforcement that they can't take care of some of the things they need to. Captain, once again, congratulations on your new title. You are one of those that really have earned your way up, and I know it's a new duty, but you're doing a lot of things over the years that have been pretty fantastic. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Martin. And getting assigned to be in charge of the South Lafourche substation in 2021, I don't think any of us, including Sheriff Weber and myself, knew quite what we were getting into when I accepted that promotion, knowing that we'd be hit by, especially in the South Lafourche area, one of the worst, if not the worst storm to hit our area in anyone's memory.
And let's talk about that. I wanted to spend this segment talking about the fact that deputies and law enforcement have not only been dealing with COVID for 2 years now, and we have a resurgence of COVID. It looks like the numbers are going up. And we're canceling parties. We're doing things that we're not used to doing in South Louisiana. So you've been dealing with that and trying to keep everybody within the scope of what the current laws and ordinances are. And then you're dealing with the DWIs, you're dealing with Hurricane Ida, which just took the energy out of everybody's sail. How do y'all keep reloading and keep that energy going as a law enforcement group?
Well, it's been amazing to watch firsthand, Martin. We had no desertions, much like many of the local area law enforcement. We've seen countless stories, and when you have major disasters, especially Category 4 and 5 hurricanes, where deputies lose their own houses. They maybe lose family members, and they can't continue to see the struggles and devastation. We've been proud to say that our deputies have responded, despite many of them, being displaced by the storm, much like several of other area law enforcement agencies. We were in the same boat, and despite that, those law enforcement officers showed up for every shift without fail. And frankly, didn't ask for a day off. Even when they were essentially forced to take a day off to have a break, they continued to want to help. And that's just a testament to the area we live in and the people we serve. We often say that, we are the same as the community. Our deputies live here, work here, and they serve here. So much like that Cajun pride that drives us all and that resiliency, our deputies are no different. And despite COVID, despite Hurricane Ida, and now this rash of DWIs and fatal crashes, we just continue to turn the page and find a way to keep on trucking.
And you make some great points there. And as we get older, I get a little older in this business, you get a little older in the role you're in, you sort of see things evolve, but it's a normal thing to see different things evolve. You never thought you'd be dealing with COVID. You never thought you would have basically a Cat 5 roar through, worst ever. But they both overlapped each other. That's when you really got to dig down deep, don't you?
Oh, no question. It was bad enough, and I think we all kind of joked about it in 2020, saying, oh, well, 2021 can't get much worse. Well, somehow, some way, 2021 found a way to get much worse. And despite that, we get to turn the calendar for another year next year into 2022, and hopefully, this new variant and this new wave subsides, and we find a way to live with COVID. I think that's the goal here, right? I mean, we know that it's not going away, so it's just to figure out a way that we can all live with it. And I think as that goes forward, we have hope for 2022. I was passing through the South Lafourche area this morning, and it's so great to see businesses reopening and some areas, getting rebuilt and roofs coming back up. But Martin, there is still so many places that are just devastated, and people waiting to hear from insurance, businesses waiting to hear what's next. It's really tough to come to every day and to live here. But somehow, some way, we continue to use those as reminders that we need to continue to move on and continue rebuilding this area.
I know we have a short time left. I appreciate you being here, but I know in rebuilding that a lot of people get frustrated because they're rebuilding, they have materials in the front of their building or their home, and they wake up the next morning and some of the materials are gone. And we all live in an unrealistic world sometimes. There is not enough deputies, not enough law enforcement to watch everybody's home all the time. And I know it drives you and the sheriff crazy when this happens, but y'all are vigilant about it, and the crimes are stepped up, but also the sentences are stepped up in this time.
No question. And look, all of the crime that we normally see doesn't take a back seat. In fact, it escalates, scams. That's something we've been preaching about for years. And now that people have money in the bank, scammers are aware of that, and we've been heavily targeted. Speeding continues. We have a lot of people that don't live here and that are, coming up in these streets, and, residents are complaining about speeders. So, yeah, we have, thefts have increased. We definitely have seen domestic issues, overdoses, all the things that you would figure that you would see after a storm and in the months following a storm with the devastation that we've seen. But all of the other things also increase and are just kind of magnified because of the circumstances that we're in. So we continue to deal with those day-to-day problems. They've just kind of changed and evolved with the things that we've seen.
All right, with that said, we appreciate Captain Brennan Mathurin being with us today. Captain, good luck. We look forward to working with you as always in the new year. Hopefully we do have a better year. Good seeing you again.
You too, Martin. Thanks a lot, and Happy New Year to you.
All right, and we'll be right back after a short break. A lot more right here on Bayou Time.